Weekly Advisor Movement, 6th of August 2020. Again, sponsored by Practice Exchange. Go to pro.advisorratings.com.au. Thinking of selling your business or buying a practice, go to business broking there. This week, we had 20 advisors, net 20 advisors leave the industry. In terms of switch licensees, 34. That was primarily due, or a third of that was due to a switch from out of a Clearview into Affinia from one entity called Experian Insurance across Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Perth. And we actually had a big week in joins, well, a relatively big week from prior weeks. So 3 joined this week. The reason I have 2 people there in orange is a backdating issue from the Financial Advice Register from ASIC. So they actually entered onto the FAR this week, but joined the industry back in November 2019. So we've always got some data integrity issues coming through, and that's always going to be an issue week on week until that's resolved. So net 5 in terms of joins, but in terms of actually this week, it was 3. So where have the gross exits left the industry from? So Sydney, number 1 region this week. In a Melbourne, we saw 8, as well as in a Perth. The Riverina Murray area. So that is more in the Murray division. Echuca, we had 4 advisors actually exit the FAR. Melbourne Inner South 4 and Adelaide 3 advisors left the industry. Shout out to a couple of the switches. So Paul Gutridge, and you'll see behind me, that's where I am today. I'm in Newcastle, which is where Paul is. IPAC, AMP-owned IPAC, went to the IOOF-owned RI Advice. You could consider Newcastle the 7th biggest city in Australia after the regional capital, so the 2nd biggest city in New South Wales. So Paul leaving from IPAC to RI Advice. Rolando Chow going from Interprac to Eugene Dinio's Lifespan. And Tracy Cloner, one of the ones I was talking about, Experian Insurance, leaving Clearview as a group, moving to Affinia, Marcus O'Sullivan's Affinia. Top gains for the week, as I said, 1 group bolstered up the Affinia numbers, 1 risk insurance group, 12 this week. FP Advice, 6 advisors started up their own license, left Lonsdale, the IOOF-owned Lonsdale, to go to FP Advice. Lifespan, we saw a net 5 join their SMSF Advisor Network. So the National Tax and Accounts Association owned SMSF Advisor Network actually gained 5 this week. It's been culling numbers, I guess, on the back of its license conditions imposed last year in terms of tightening up its compliance. And BCG FLC license holdings. So again, a new license this week, moving away from Count. And for those that are aware, Count and a lot of other licenses have been repricing at the moment, which we'll get to. Top losses, again, a movement. So this is just switching between licenses. Clearview losing that major practice. Count, a net loss of 7 advisors, coming down from their highs when they were owned by CBA from 413 now to Matthew Rowe, Count Plus's group, to 260. Lonsdale, IOOF-owned Lonsdale, lost 4. Campaspe Financial Services, so this is the Echuca group that actually lost 4 advisors / accountants. So we did reach out to Steve Stubberfield before this video was done. We haven't heard back, but we assume a lot of that movement was due to the fact that most of those advisors are actually accountants, and due to increased compliance issues, we probably see them exit the FAR. The 2 that are remaining actual financial planners, and 4 from the Spiro Paul's group, remaining flat, but 4 exits from Vindex. Gets me to my quote of the week from Tom Redcliffe, former CEO of Godfrey Pembroke. Now goes around as advises a bunch of super funds and licensees and the like. The number one thing I look for is who's running the licensee. To do a good job is like batting number 3 for Australia. So I really like to understand the form, and I guess it's a really pertinent point as advisors look to switch licensees or look to sell their practices or sell their clients to a particular licensee, that they should understand the capability set and what's in place at the license. We are seeing increases in prices across the board as compliance goes up. I think there was a good information session. If you haven't seen it, Professional Planner have written some good articles about best practice forum this week. So the average price of a license is increasing to about 35, 40 grand per advisor. So I guess if you're paying unders at the moment, you should be asking why, and why you're only paying $20,000, $25,000. Are there conflicts in place? What else is going on at the license? Are you getting the compliance support, the training support that you need? But it's something obviously that's an issue, and we'll continue to monitor pricing across the board. But that's it for this week. Go to pro.advisorratings.com.au again if you are looking at buying or selling your practice. Until next week.